All right, got a quick one today. So this is how to get a bearing spacer out of a wheel. This is basically going to be how to get a 6mm bearing spacer out. So say you bought our 72mm wheel kit or our 76mm wheel kit. Both of them come with a 6mm bearing spacer in there because most kid skates use a 6mm axle. And most adult skates nowadays use a 8mm spacer or an axle. So this is an 80mm wheel. This comes off of a twister, and this has a 8mm spacer in there. So this is an 8mm axle. It fits right in, and you'll see with the 6mm axle or spacer, there's a little ring inside there in the bearing. That's a 6mm diameter right there, and of course a 8mm axle will not fit in there. So you may have to switch that out. So say you have a skate that takes a 76mm wheel but has a 8mm spacer in there, or an 8mm axle, or you just you want to go a little smaller on your skates, and you get these and they're just not going to work for you. So just easy ways to get them out, because they can be pretty tight. Like, it's not they're in there. You want the bearings to sit in there. You don't want them to be flopping around. So you want them to be tight, but sometimes it can be a pain, especially when you're trying to get them out. Or say you have another reason you want to do this is, say you have this and you just need to switch your bearings out. You're putting new bearings in your skates, and you can't figure out how to get that out. So these are the easiest ways that I got it. So best way is just to take a skate tool. This is the Rollerblade Pro tool. The ones they have now available for sale are green. This is just older version of it. This is red. Same exact thing. There's no difference other than color. Normally there's a little Allen piece that comes and fits in there, but you're not going to need that for this situation. All you need is this little piece. This is a bearing pusher, which you would use for 8mm, which you would just put it in there and pop it right out. You just stick it in and then break it apart. So that's easy. But to get the 6mm out, you're going to use this side. Sorry, this side. This part. And all it's going to do is just kind of sit right, I don't know if you can get you can kind of just sit it right in there. It's big enough to fit through an 8mm bearing, like that, you see? But it's going to hit on the 6mm. So all you got to do is push it right up against, it's really hard to show on the video, but like push it right up against the spacer part. Make sure you're not on the bearing. Make sure you're just on the spacer. And just push, take a little bit of force, and it should pop it right out. So that's your spacer. As you can see, this is what it looks like if it were, well, it's in the wheel. See the spacer in there? They fit right on there, versus an 8mm, which just sits between. It doesn't go into the bearing itself. It just kind of sits between it like that, if you're looking at it. So another way to do it, so if you do have a 8mm, if you're trying to put this wheel on an 8mm axle, you just take the axle, get the video set right there. You can set it on the ground, you can use it in your hand, but this is probably just the easiest way. Same deal, you're just pushing right against the spacer part, and you're just using it, lining it up, and just using a little force, and then you're popping right through. And that should pop right out. I don't know if that really showed very well in the video, but again, just push down, and it should pop right out. You're using the spacer to push against, or the axle to push against the spacer, which is then forcing the bearing on the other side. So now you have a wheel with no bearing on this side, bearing on this side. You should be able to use your thumb and just to kind of pop it right out like that. Like I said, it might take some force. It's pretty tight. They're in there. That's by design. You want them to not be able to come out, because if they're moving around in the wheel, then they're going to cause rattling, and can not spin as freely. So you want them to be tight. So that's just easy ways to get them out. Like I said, the blade tool is probably the easiest way to do it. But you don't have one of these, you're in a pinch, you want to save some money because it's like 20 bucks. They're great to have, a great investment, but you know, I understand some people don't want to spend that. They just want to do it as cheaply as possible. Like I said, the axle works just fine. So good luck. If you have any questions, drop them in the comments or reach out.